is a saying that said in the US, everything is allowed unless it's prohibited. When you go to Germany and Japan, everything is prohibited unless it's allowed. You go to the Latin America or Middle East, everything is allowed, even if it is prohibited. And also, different cultures around the world tend to prefer a certain behavioral style. For example, in the US, we like people who form quick decisions and are able to articulate these decisions and are direct and they're forward. So the US rewards and values more of a D culture. While in Japan, they don't like somebody who's direct. Now, there are plenty of Ds in Japan, but they learn as a child to mask the D behavior. So if you're a, let's say an investment banking company in New York, send their star performer, direct, aggressive, to go and work in Japan. Do you think that person is going to be successful with that kind of behavior? No. So you need to, if I'm aware of my own behavioral style, I can probably adapt it. Probably I can sit back and listen and be a little bit less direct so I don't alienate people who come from other cultures. Cultural competency in the 2000s and the 21st century has to be practical implications. Okay, Asians are collectivists, Americans are individualistic. How does that impact motivating an employee? What's the difference between motivating an employee who's American and who's Hispanic? So we need to get to the practical implication of cultural differences. What are the differences in communicating, negotiating, selling, customer service across cultures? And so just talking about cultural differences overall, well, that is very interesting. But we need to tie it down to practical application to the business. This is a very rude gesture to Brazilians, right? And the Brazilians, they go, like this, to the bank, constantly like this. And however, this to me, who come from the Middle East, means the same as that to Brazilians. So I had a hard time going like this to them. But the point is that they all knew that no one meant any disrespect. And we forgave each other. And many companies have a tendency, if they have a training program on communication, on what customer service in the US, do the same training for their people in Malaysia. But this is only probably 30% effective. 70% of the value goes out the window. I like to use this example of a tea bag. A tea bag has been developed to come to bloom and color in hot water. And if you put that tea bag in a cup of cold water, you get just kind of lukewarm color, and it doesn't come to full bloom. Because context is important. Context is culture. Business is not context-free. And as human resources individuals, we have to remember. So we need to make our corporate culture inclusive of all the employees in the far-flung operations that we have. When I'm talking about understanding cultural differences, I don't mean we understand everybody so we can accommodate them or change them. But basically, we want to understand people so we can create commonalities, to bring everybody in the same page, to be able to communicate with them.
I'm Judy Shalacy, and I'm the Executive Director of the Hop Industrial Association. Today is our Human Resources Symposium called Cross-Cultural Strategies for the 2020 Workforce, and Sheida Hodge was our keynote speaker. She knocked it out of the ballpark. She was absolutely brilliant, and the feedback that I am getting from the attendees as they're coming out of the program is phenomenal. Some people told me they were writing down everything she said because she was so on target. The chairperson of our planning committee said to me that Sheida tailored her presentation absolutely perfectly to our target audience, focusing on the human resources aspect. In fact, Sheida is the person who said human resources professionals are the architects of the corporate culture, and we really use that as our mantra when we planned this program. Everyone is coming up and asking me where we found her and how can they find her. So Sheida, thank you. You were fantastic.